Joining us now is Rachel Bradley. She has been all over the country. She's a teacher and a school administrator by trade. She taught in a Title I school, and now she is the head person at a brand new Thales Academy. They're big in North Carolina and Raleigh. And they're just opening up 2 locations, one here in Nashville, where I am, just in a suburb in Williamson County, and also in Franklin. And then they've also got one opening up in Glen Allen, just outside of Richmond, as you know. So it's good to have her on. And she is joining us now. Rachel, great to have you with us.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me.
So I got to tell you this story. Can I tell you this story? When I first met Rachel yesterday, this is how things have gotten. So I first met her yesterday. I shook hands with her. I put my hand out. And Rachel, I haven't shaken hands with anybody outside of my family in like 3 months because it's illegal now. You can't shake hands. And I just did it out of habit. And I shook your hand, and it was like, wow, it's like I'm back to normal. I can shake somebody's hand. I mean, it was like shocking. It was like, I shake hands with people all the time, but you haven't been able to shake hands for 60 days. So it's like, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, are you going to die now that I shook your hand? Anyway, thanks for shaking my hand.
Felt great, right?
It did. It's why I'm saying it. It felt great because it's like, hey, this is what human beings do. They shake hands. Unbelievable. It did feel good to just be normal. And thank you for doing that. So I figured I'd make you laugh with that. Tell me about Thales Academy. I had an opportunity to talk to you a little bit yesterday, but I really respect what you say as a teacher because, you know, you taught in a Title I school in South Alabama. So people that teach in Title I schools really get a perspective that some of the suburban schools don't have. Tell us about your academy and why it has been so incredibly successful, Rachel.
Absolutely. Well, Thales Academy was born in 2007. We were founded by an entrepreneur, businessman, very successful businessman, Bob Luddy. And so he brought a whole different perspective himself to the ball game. Our school is run on business principles, and therefore we're able to meet our mission, which is to offer an excellent, high-quality education at an affordable cost. So it's really unheard of. We're offering a phenomenal private school education, strong character formation, rigorous academics for $5,300 a year. And in this market, and in really any market where we've looked, the median is anywhere. It's around $18,000, $12,000 to $24,000 a year, and a lot of families just can't do that.
Right.
Especially given the circumstances right now.
Of course. You've been able to get your tuition to the like $5,500 range, right? Like $400 or $500 a month. How are you able to do that?
Well, unfortunately, you're talking to a campus administrator, so my expertise is academics, development, child development, discipline, all of that. But to get those trade secrets, if you will, you'd have to talk to Mr. Luddy himself or people in our corporate office. But, a couple of the things I can tell you from a campus level,
right?
We don't have excess. We don't have a lot of unnecessary positions. We run on a really basic classroom model. We have a homeroom teacher, and that's it. In kindergarten, they have a teaching assistant. In the front office, it's just me as the principal and an administrative assistant, and that's it. We don't have nurses, guidance counselors, reading specialists, resource officers, all of these other positions that suck up funds. We also don't have a cafeteria, so everybody packs their lunch, or we have a hot lunch option delivered. And then the last piece where we save a lot is no transportation. We're not using buses, so everybody is a parent carpool system.
So you've developed, with Thales Academy, you've developed a curriculum that has proven to be unbelievably effective. Can you share with our audience a little bit about what that is, Rachel?
John, we use direct instruction. So this is a tried and true teaching methodology backed by over 50 years of research. It was developed in the 1960s by Siegfried Engelmann, and it's very carefully structured and scripted. It's a fast-paced curriculum, And really the two key components are maximizing student engagement and maintaining high time on task. And so what that looks like is all of our children are engaged in learning every minute of the school day. And I can tell you from my experience in many different classrooms and school environments, that's not always typical. Unfortunately, there's a lot of downtime in a school day, but not at Thales Academy. Everything is very carefully planned. We keep the kids engaged. And when the kids are engaged, that means we don't have all of the discipline problems that you often see in a lot of other school environments. And I experienced that firsthand, where I spent a lot of my time managing discipline rather than teaching content.
Tell us a little bit about you. When we talked yesterday, you taught in a Title I school as a teacher in South Alabama. Tell us what that taught you and how you have brought that experience to your academy.
It was a really valuable experience. I think I mentioned to you yesterday, for me it was almost more like missionary work. One of my colleagues said that, and it really struck a chord, because in those classrooms with those kids, I was teaching first grade. 99% of the children were on free or reduced lunch. The priority is just meeting basic needs. Have the kids eaten breakfast? Where did they sleep last night? Do they have socks and shoes on their feet? And so that was where our priority had to be, was just taking care of the kids. And again, I'm talking about first graders. And as a teacher, my experience was, here's your classroom. If the curriculum closet is at the end of the hall, good luck. And essentially it was like, okay, you need to go down there and pull out whatever resources you think you need and create a lesson the way you think it should be created, and go ahead and execute it the way you think it should be executed. So you can imagine the room for error that leaves, and the massive inconsistency from classroom to classroom. It's really problematic. And so fortunately for me, I had already spent 4 years in a direct instruction classroom at Mr. Luddy's charter school in Wake Forest, North Carolina. So I had some tools in my toolbox, and I was able to implement direct instruction even in that Title I school, and had success with those kids. And so that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it, is that I've seen, kind of the other side and what some other programs look like, and I know how strong our program is. And the success that it yields, you just can't argue with. In my first year teaching in a direct instruction classroom, I was teaching kindergarten, and all of those kindergartners were reading by Christmas. That's remarkable.
That's unbelievable,
John.
That's unbelievable.
That just doesn't happen. I mean,
Right.
You've got, going back again to my Title I experience, I also taught third grade there, and I had third graders who still weren't reading on grade level because they're just moving along and falling through the cracks. And at Thales, we are a mastery-based program. So everything is very carefully measured and what's the word I'm looking for? We assess the data regularly, so nobody's falling through the cracks. We don't move on until everybody is mastering those concepts.
So you've got to bring everybody up to speed, but the fact that you were at a Title I school and you took the direct instruction approach, applied it to that school in Alabama, and had kids reading in kindergarten is unbelievable, right? Because you're right. I mean, you've got kids in some of these schools they're going into the fourth grade and they still can't read. You've had tremendous success with it. Now, with Rachel Bradley, Rachel, you've been a teacher, school administrator. What is actually your title now in Nashville?
At Thales, we say administrator, but for most schools, that would be the principal. So
Okay,
I'm the principal.
You're the principal of the new Thales school in Franklin. Franklin, and we've also got a school opening up in Glen Allen, Virginia, which
That's
is
right.
Everybody knows. My audience knows that, right outside of Richmond. And so if I'm a parent now listening to this show and I'm in the Central Virginia area, near Glen Allen, why would I send my child who's maybe going to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, early elementary, why would I send them to Thales Academy?
Well, John, I'm also a parent, and when I was touring preschools for my son, I was I was really interested in what kind of a learning environment was that going to be. Was he going to be safe every day? Was he going to be well cared for? And was he going to enjoy learning? And those are things that we're able to provide because our curriculum is so strong and our children are so engaged. It lends itself to a really ideal learning environment. We don't have all of this disruptions and distractions. And our kids are just, the success that we've been able to accomplish is really amazing. And I mean that sincerely, and I've experienced it firsthand. And now as an administrator, as the school principal, what I've also seen is sometimes we have parents who leave for one reason or another. Could be financial, could be logistics. Typically those are the top two reasons. And sure enough, within a handful of months, they're coming back to me saying, that was a huge mistake. Can we please have our seat back? They're just not seeing the same level of rigor at other elementary schools. I lost my train of thought.
If I'm in Richmond and I send my child to Thales Academy, K through 5, and now they're in the 6th grade, and you don't have right now a 6th grade class, so they've got to go to middle school, what happens?
Oh, man, they're going to be so well prepared. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that I hear when our students do transfer to another school, and that sometimes happens at middle school, although in North Carolina we do have 612 campuses. Our graduates are amazingly successful, all accepted into top-tier schools, something in the millions of dollars of scholarships awarded this year to our Thales Academy graduates. Mm-hmm. But all of that being said, if our kids do leave to try a new middle school program or a new high school program, they go in and they can't believe how much more prepared they are and well equipped to be successful in the classroom than their peers who have been in public school for their whole K-5 experience. Mm-hmm. And that follows when they go to college. One of my former colleagues, her son is a graduate, and he said when he went to college his freshman year, he came home and he said, "Mom, these kids don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to write a paper. They don't know how to take notes. They don't, he couldn't believe how much more well prepared and equipped he was mm-hmm. than his peers who hadn't, had the privilege of such an amazing education.
I tell you what you guys are doing is really cutting edge. The direct instruction, the ability to be able to make private education so affordable. I mean, you try to go to private schools in Virginia where I am, they're, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. There's a lot of households, they just don't have that. So right. You have to go to the public school you're in. But, at $5,000, $5,500, that's like $450 a month. I mean, that's like people can work that into their budget. So what you've done is provided an opportunity for parents to send their kids to a great school with a unique instruction methodology that is going to ensure that they're ahead of everything. I just got a text here from Adrian in Richmond who says, "Send me info, please." So immediately you've got that. So I'm gonna put you in touch with Adrian in Richmond, and you guys can figure it out. But you made it affordable, right? That's the whole thing. I mean, parents are looking for private education. They're not comfortable. Everybody's sending their kids to public schools. Some of them just aren't that good or whatever. You've got a methodology which is proven to get the maximum out of the kids that you have, maximum learning experience, to be able to do it in an environment that is holistic and affordable. Because if you don't have the money, Rachel, you don't have the money. I mean, then it just isn't an option. There's a private school. I do a baseball game of the week when we were doing baseball, and sometimes I'll do them. It's called Stewart Academy. It's in the Richmond area. I think it's K through 12. They normally have a pretty good baseball team, so I'll do one of their games. Tuition there, $55,000.
Wow.
$55,000. I mean, it's like sending your kid to Harvard. Well, if you can afford that, great. But a lot of people just can't pay that. I mean, they just don't have $55,000 lying around, so they can't do that. But, $5,000, you can figure that out. If people want more information on Thales Academy, where do they go, Rachel?
Well, they can start at our website, which is just www.thalesacademy.org. And Thales, I want to spell for people because it does look like Thales, but it's pronounced Thales, Thales. Thales was a Greek philosopher, so that's where we get the name, the father of thought. So thalesacademy.org. You can also go to Thales Academy on Facebook, and we have a Thales Academy Franklin page and a Thales Academy Glen Allen page for our listeners up there in the Richmond area. And I want to be careful here, John, because no matter what school it is, public, private, charter, what have you, the teachers and the staff, they're amazing people. They're doing everything they can to ensure success for the kids. The problem is what they're being given and equipped with. And it's so inconsistent. And the curriculum is being changed every couple of years. And, here's a new buzzword. Let's try it this way. Well, now let's try it this way. So what that means is the teachers and the students are always having to relearn. And there's no level of confidence or consistency. And that's what makes it so difficult to experience success. And so at Thales, we have found the method that works best, and we're sticking with it. And we have solid curriculums. Our core curriculums, reading mastery, spelling mastery, Saxon math, Shirley English, those are what we've used since we opened our doors because they work. So we aren't just hanging out on whatever buzzword comes down the pipe.
Exactly. No, it's interesting you say that about the teachers. I was in Mississippi earlier this weekend, over the weekend. My son, Jack, who's 30 years old, teaches in a Title I school in the Delta. I was with him and his girlfriend, who's also a teacher in a Title. Jackson, the high school, she's in the middle school. They love their students, and, they were upset that they can't go back and teach them. Right. Not everybody has high school internet, but his girlfriend teaches middle school and social studies. He teaches English. And I said, well, what is your biggest challenge? I mean, because, kids and there's no money and, the curriculum, what's your biggest challenge? And his girlfriend said to me, the administrators, the county administrators in the state. It's not us. It's not the principal. It's like, I can't stand the administrators. Like she's like, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they keep coming down with these new edicts.
That's what we called them when I taught in Title I. I mean, the principal would call it, well, higher up said this and higher up said that.
Higher up said
and
this.
We all kind of cringed,
It's the administrators, the higher ups, exactly. But that's what she would say. The principal would have a meeting and say, "Oh, I just got a call from the superintendent, and we have to start doing this." And she'd be like, "Well, that's stupid. He's not even here. He's in Jackson.
He's never been in the classroom.
He's never been in the classroom.
He's of what they're telling us to do."
He's a government bureaucrat in Jackson, Mississippi, 3 hours from here. Right? He doesn't know my kids. Well, this is what they said we have to start to do because of whatever. I want to thank you for being with us and for all that information. And thank you for shaking my hand, Rachel.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.